Hey everyone, welcome to episode 198 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Monday, January 15th, 2024.
We're not on the right sides, according to the
Uh-oh.
people. That
I
it's
mean, it's
okay.
going to be a bad podcast.
You got here first, so you get over to the left.
Can I switch? Can I switch like this? No, it doesn't work.
No, okay. Um, we got a big, heavy day for you, Dolphin fans. The carcass of the 2024 season is still being picked apart. Examined. The autopsy is yet to be done fully. I still got to go look at the all 22 based on something Mike McDaniel said, excusing why he couldn't throw downfield with Tua Tagovailoa, which was interesting.
Excuses. Okay.
Wow, boy, you're becoming really brave as the season has already wound down.
I believe it, but it's been 4 years of it, and I'm kind of over it.
Okay.
I'll be, yeah, I'm over all the excuse making.
So where do we want to begin? We want to
Well, we're going
begin.
to begin with our history lesson.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Give me 1998.
1998 Dolphins finished. See him right off the bat. I'm like trying to remember if they were 10-6 or 9-7. I'm doing this off the top of my head. You can look me up. I think they were 10-6.
10-6.
Made the playoffs as a wild card team. Then played at home against Buffalo in an absolutely thrilling game. They were getting destroyed by Eric Moulds, who had over 200 yards receiving that day.
Oh, Buffalo ending our season again, huh?
No, hold on. Dolphins led 24-14. Bills got a field goal to make it 24-17. Recovered an onside kick back at a time when it wasn't impossible to recover an onside kick, because now it's like, why even bother? Because I think there's been one recovered onside kick throughout the entire season. And then the Bills marched down to about the 5-yard line. Late in the game, Trace Armstrong blindside Doug Flutie. Sack, fumble, Shane Burton recovers for the Dolphins. They win 24-17. The following week, they play at Denver, remember, which had won the Super Bowl the previous year and got completely spanked 38-3. This was a rematch of a Monday night game in Miami that the Dolphins won 31-21, Marino over Elway. That would have been an absolute classic had it not been for the fact that the Broncos, who started like 11-0 that season, lost a week before to the New York Giants, which eliminated the possibility of the Dolphins being able to repeat what they had done to the Bears in '85.
Let me address something that you said that I found very interesting. So the Dolphins didn't get their season ended by Buffalo?
They did not.
Oh, okay. That's impressive. Yeah. I'm still looking at the roster of that team, and it would look kind of mediocre. But
hey. The defense was very good. They had what I remember that year. They had a lot of defensive scores. They had two in a game against Oakland, where it was Zach Thomas and Robert Jones. I think they won like 27-17. And that was clearly the strength of the defense, was Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor. Robert Jones was a very good linebacker.
Yeah, it doesn't show me that Trace Armstrong was on this team, but hey, I'm not doubting you. Oh, nope, he got 10.5 sacks. So he was a backup? Wow, that's interesting.
Pass rushing specialist, yes.
Wow, 10.5 sacks as a pass rushing specialist?
Yes.
That's kind of disrespectful. But hey, let's move on to the disrespectful team that we are covering in 2023.
The disrespected team. Do we want to take care of the quick news with the roster moves the Dolphins?
Yeah, you go ahead and name all these players that got re-signed.
Okay. This happens every year right after the season ends. I believe the rule is the teams retain exclusive negotiating rights to the guys who ended the season in the practice squad for, I believe it's 10 days. After that, those players become quote unquote street free agents. So the Dolphins signed 8 of those this year to what's called reserve future contract. The 8 were linebacker Quentin Bell. He's the dude who played Max Crosby on Hard Knocks. Cornerback.
Thank you.
Say what?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thank you.
Cornerback Ethan Bonner.
Yeah.
Tight end Tanner Connor. Tackle Ryan Hayes, who was the 7th round pick in 2023 for the Dolphins. Offensive lineman Chasen Hines. Defensive tackle Brandon Peely, who made the team as a rookie free agent at USC before being cut and re-signed to the practice squad. Wide receiver Braylon Sanders and wide receiver Anthony Schwartz.
Anthony Schwartz. So what Braylon Sanders and Anthony Schwartz? Okay, I think there's a wide receiver that's still missing. Freddie Swain didn't get re-signed?
No, he did not get re-signed. And this is where I'm going to admit I'm not 100% sure if there's any kind of issue.
Oh, he's got 4 years of vested experience, so he can't.
Correct. I think those guys are not eligible for that.
Nick Bowers didn't get re-signed?
Bowers did not get re-signed.
Okay. All right. Too much time on this because nobody really cares.
Okay. They didn't get re-signed today. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen before.
Correct.
Go ahead. Let's move on to the news of the day, the big news of the day.
Are we going to say big news of the day based on players or big news of the day based on what the general manager and the head coach said in the post-mortem of the season? Because I think we should address the players first.
Well, we could also debate what's the biggest news of the day, and I think to me the biggest news of the day is Terron Armstead kind of like floating the idea that maybe he might retire. And
you asked a guy less than 48 hours after he's just finished his 11th season if he's absolutely unequivocally committed to playing, and he says, I'm going to take some time to reevaluate, and we all jumped and said, oh my God, Terron Armstead is considering retirement. I don't know. When Barry asked him the question, just so we can accurately portray the answer, whether or not he's seriously considering retirement, he basically said, I love this game too much to just walk away. But
no, he didn't. So you're adding words. He said, I love this game, but he didn't say I love this game too much to walk away.
No,
too much to walk away was not in there.
Okay. I love this game. I love this game. And the bottom line is, when it comes to March and Terron has to begin that ridiculous process of getting himself and his body ready for the season, will he be up for it? Probably if you asked him on January 15th, his answer would probably be no. Maybe if you asked him on February 15th, his answer would probably be, yeah, I'm ready.
But here's the thing, Omar, is if a guy, and I'm not saying that I'm thinking he retires, I'm thinking he's not going to. But a guy who's absolutely doesn't have that even in his remotely in his mind would tell you, he would like almost scoff at the question. And this is a guy, mind you, this is a guy who's got 3 kids, as he mentioned. He's got twins who are 11. He's got a boy who's 6. And he was talking about the last question that was asked is he's going to have surgery this offseason like he had last year. And he goes, I'm not sure yet. I have to evaluate a couple of things going on. That possibly. It may reach a point where the dude's going to be like. He
also said that this has been physically one of the most grueling and challenging seasons that he's had. And it has.
And this is a guy who's never played a full season. So there may come a time in the offseason where he's looking at his kids and being like, I'm going to be away from them for another season to put myself through that. Again, I'm not predicting he's retiring. I don't think he's going to, because of course there will be a financial sacrifice as well. But the fact that he didn't unequivocally say, of course I'm coming back.
Terron Armstead's contract's virtually guaranteed next season. I have a hard time believing that he's going to walk away from. Let me look up what it is, because I got
$5 million in salary guaranteed.
No, the rest of it is relatively guaranteed as well, because it triggers.
And he's got roster bonuses. Look it up.
Yeah, he says 14. He's not walking away for $14 million. Are you crazy?
The salary
anyway,
$5 million of this salary is guaranteed. Okay.
Yes, but as I've written previously in all Dolphins.com content, the rest of the salary is also guaranteed as well. And if you read the fine print, it'll show you why it is guaranteed. But okay, let's move forward.
Okay.
Basically, Xavien Howard was saying his goodbyes to the team today, and goodbyes, meaning really, really goodbyes.
Not see in a couple of months, but
not see in a couple of months. It was great to be here for 8 years. I really enjoyed my time. I have no idea what's going to go on, but it's possible that we could all be moving on. Xavien is on the books for $18.5 million. If you release him as a June 1st cut, you're going to get that $18.5 million in cap space. It's probably not going to help you right away because you still got to wait on it. But Xavien is candidate probably number 3 to cut so that or trade, even though you're not going to get that much from standing value and cap space if you do trade him. Xavien knows what time it is. And also, Xavien is a big businessman, and he also is very aware when you don't have any guaranteed money, you better get some guaranteed money. So
he called it a contract here, even though.
No. I mean, and he's right. If you really pay attention to the NFL, no guaranteed money means I'm in a contract year. So You could ignore. You could pay attention to all that other stuff. I'd only deal with real numbers, real money, not fake money. And right now,
but Omar, it applies to certain players. There are certain players who, even if they don't have guaranteed money, it could be a case where the team's not moving on from them because it's so beneficial to them, or it could be the player that doesn't have any juice and there's nothing he can do about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Xavien will be playing and starting somewhere in the NFL. He just has no idea if it's going to be in Miami. And when asked if he would take a pay cut, he basically asked Barry, if your employee came to you and asked you, would you take a pay cut? Would you take a pay cut? Barry said no. And
you know what? I wasn't involved in the scrum because you were there and I was walking around somewhere else in the locker room. Because had he asked me that, I'd have said, if you're going to pay my salary down from 18 million to 15 million, sure, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But as we all know, there is no depth behind Jalen Ramsey and Xavien. And if you want to consider Cater Kohu depth, cool. He's also, what is he at? 130 opposing quarterback rating with 8 touchdowns this season.
Had a bad year. But here's the thing, though. Yeah, here's the thing.
And Cam Smith is a guy that nobody on the organization trusts.
And I spoke to Cam Smith today, and he was talking about actually he kind of, again, kind of one of those things where what else is he going to say? But he talked about how beneficial it was that he learned and that he was surprised at first. And then at some point he kind of started expecting like, okay, it's not happening for me this year. But the thing with X, and I get that on the one hand, the Dolphins don't have any depth behind them and they're going to have to get some or get Cam Smith up to snuff quickly and trust him.
You believe Vic Fangio's about to do that?
Dude, we're talking in 6 months, 7 months. I mean, maybe he shows him something in the offseason. The other issue is, and the reason why there will be a situation with X is he's pricey, and the past 2 years, it's kind of been one injury after another.
All fair. And the pricey is absolutely a phenomenal point. $18.5 million is a very high price for a cornerback.
Right. If we were talking 2020 X, it'd be like, no problem. Suck it up and pay him. But
yeah,
this is not.
X will find work somewhere. The question is, how will the Dolphins handle that situation? And we asked Chris Greer about it, and he flat out basically was saying he's goodbye to X. He didn't even give you a he's under contract situation, which is generally what they do when. Well,
he said, well, like everybody else, we'll evaluate every player and all that. There are very few in those end of season pressers. There are very, very few definitive answers with anybody.
Oh, there was one definitive answer, and we're trying to lock up Tua Tagovailoa to a long-term contract.
I was going to say we'll get to it at some point. You spoiled it. Spoiler. And by the way,
listen, and I hate to laugh because I have no problem with the sentence that was said. However, there are people, and I'm not only talking about people who are Montreal Expos hats, but there are people in South Florida who heard that and were like, oh my God, here we go again with this bull. And I get it from their standpoint based on what they just saw and the sample size they just saw of Tua Tagovailoa in the last month of the season.
4-year sample size?
No, don't start with the 4-year sample size.
He's been in
I will give you a 2-year sample size under Mike McDaniel. The first coach didn't like him, didn't know what to do with him, and didn't have anything around him. So let's not go there.
This is where I go with excuses. Did you see anything?
Did he not like him? Did he like him? Fact. He didn't.
You're not saying anything that's not a fact. Everything you're going to say, the bottom line is they're also excuses. And the thing was,
if somebody doesn't like me, they're going to set me up for failure.
And if you're a dog, you're going to overcome that, and you're going to ball out anyway.
And he did overcome that.
Yeah, once McDaniel got here. And here's the thing. There were no signs whatsoever in the first 2 seasons, and tell me I'm wrong, no signs whatsoever in the first 2 seasons that A, he was elite, or B, he could even become elite. Now McDaniel gets there, and now we saw signs early on when he had the big passing games that maybe he can, except, again, when the big games have come for the past, and it's not just this year, the past 2 years, it's not there. When the first read isn't there, when the good teams take away what he wants to do with the quick strike and all that the superpowers that he has, as Darrell Bevel calls them, they kind of disappear. And for me, it's like, as I've said many times, I'm going to say it again. I have no issue. Getting him being a quarterback next year. That's perfectly fine. Do not shackle yourself to a quarterback who hasn't shown you he can win the big games for a long term. And this is why when Greer said, and again, this is dancing around words, and that's good. Chris does that very well. I like Chris a lot, but Chris does that a lot. We're looking forward to having him play at a high level for the long term. Well, I'm here to tell you he hasn't played at a high level. Unless he's playing a bad team.
Quarterback in the NFL.
Sorry?
But anyway, he has not delivered in the clutch moments. Don't say he hasn't played at a high level.
Forget. Yeah, against bad teams.
I don't want to hear against bad teams. Against NFL teams, he has statistically played at a high level. He has not delivered in the clutch. I'm not going to fight you on that.
Forget clutch. He has not delivered against quality playoff caliber opponents.
Playoff caliber opponents have taken losses to the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa as the starting quarterback.
1-12 in the last 13 games and over the past 2 years against playoff teams. 1-12. And I know you love one-loss record for a quarterback. 1-12.
Dallas being the lone win, huh?
Being the lone win where they scored 22 points.
Okay. You're throwing in the points. Okay, fine. Listen. We know where we are as an organization. And even though I will say this, Chris Greer says, we're going to try to sign him to a multi-year contract. He's a quarterback of our future. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get a multi-year contract done, because I could want to sign you to a multi-year contract at $40 million, giving you the Daniel Jones price. And you could say, nah, bro, I'm going to gamble on myself. And turning down $40 million is not an easy thing to do. But if I'm Tua Tagovailoa and I want to bet on myself like Christian Wilkins did, he will. Now, so all these people are saying, oh, God, it's inevitable that they're going to sign him to a multi-year contract. No, that's not necessarily the case. Chris Greer says, because when it was brought up about the price of what his peers are making, Mike McDaniel even came in with a joke to Adam Beasley. What is this guy, his agent? And you know, in terms of paying him $50 million. I am a Tua fan. I am a Tua supporter. I am a Tua believer. I am not a Tua non-member.
But I will. You sure?
I am absolutely. I will never be allowed in Tua non.
I believe you have a what's it called? Like a
probationary period or something.
There you go. A probationary membership. There you
go. Nah. They won't let me in. They won't let me in because I'm not opposed to criticizing him, and I'm not opposed to saying things that are not favorable to him. I believe in Tua. Did he show me that he could be elite in this season? No. Did that last game against Kansas City make me raise some concerns, primarily because of Mike McDaniel's play calling, about what he can do in climates and weather that's not favorable to quarterbacks? That, to quote something that Poupard, you need an arm queen in some of those games. Some of the games, some of those weathers.
The arm queen is those who like the guys with the big arms. The arm queens are not the quarterbacks themselves.
Okay, you need a big armed quarterback to play in those elements. Mm-hmm. Miami does not have a big armed quarterback. You can say a lot of things about Tua, a lot of things that are favorable. Arm strength is not one of them, and probably will never be one of them. And flat out, the first time I ever saw him throw a pass at a Dolphins practice, I said to myself, oh, damn, I didn't know the arm was that weak. And I'm just being honest. So doesn't mean he can't be a good quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't kill you with accuracy and precision like Chad Pennington did throughout his entire career. Doesn't mean he can't do what Drew Brees has done. But arm strength is not his cup of tea.
Neither is mobility, neither is off-script plays. That's a problem. Tell me, where's the lie? Where is the lie?
You don't have any proof of that. He is
of what?
Off script plays. He has scrambled out of the pocket and delivered long passes to Tyreek Hill before. So stop.
Oh my God! We go again with the one example.
It happened.
Compare the number of times that Tua makes plays off script as
he doesn't need off script plays.
Dude.
That's why.
Oh no, you're right. He didn't do any.
He only led the number one offense in the NFL this year and the number 6 offense last year.
And they 1-12 against playoff teams. sucked basically every time. Dude, come on, man.
All right, fine. We're not gonna sit here and haggle about Tua. We got all off season to sit here and haggle about Tua. What I am saying is, my point I'm making, and the confession that I have is that I would not pay him $50 million. I would not a season.
Okay, and my position, as I've said many times,
play the 5th year option. We know what your position is. Make him play the 5th year option.
Thank you.
Okay.
And if you feel the need to give him a contract, can I stomach 2 years? Yeah.
He's not signing a 2-year contract, so we can keep moving on that.
Okay, then 5th year option. To me, there's, again, and unfortunately, pretty much all the good quarterbacks are in the AFC. And that's
just reality.
That's reality. And then the Dolphins, you want to have somebody who measures up.
And you know who's the AFC starter for the Pro Bowl? Tua Tagovailoa. Anyway.
That's a fact. He is.
I got you. I pinned you in the corner. Listen, we got a long road to go. He's not going to be the first order of business. They talked about Christian Wilkins and how they put multiple offers, a lot of them favorable. Christian wanted to bet on himself, and Christian made it to free agency, and Christian played an entire season, and Christian put up with a phenomenal season betting on himself, and now the Dolphins are going to have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So more than likely, that's going to start with the franchise tag. And if I'm Christian Wilkins, I'm not signing for a single dollar less than the $105 million that Quentin Williams got, because I outperformed him on a better defense. So
although this is where I could throw it back in your face and say who made the Pro Bowl and who didn't.
Oh, but the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest, and we already know it's.
You used it for Tua on me. Now I can't use it. I can't use it. And
well played. Well played.
And I agree with Quentin Williams. Christian was better than Quentin Williams. Which brings to mind the comment that Raekwon Davis made that basically he doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to re-sign with the Dolphins. He's a free agent. The Dolphins are going to have something to say about that. And he wants to run it again with Zach Sealer and Christian Wilkins.
That's what you say.
No, correct. That's why. And yeah.
Tell me the guy who said, I don't want to come back here because I really didn't like the situation or the experience. Raekwon Davis, you know what he needs to say? Whoever's going to pay me is where I'm going. Yeah,
the most I've ever heard a player say is like, I'm looking forward to seeing what's out there. I mean, but that you'd never catch a player saying anything.
No, Rob Hunt told me today, I'm excited about becoming a free agent. I mean, it's been an adverse season, but Rob Hunt has earned his free agency. And that's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, well, hopefully we could sign this guy before free agent comes. I'm like, the risk has already been taken. The season has already been played. I'm taking it up to 5 hours before free agency before I sign it or decide on anything.
But there's also another guy who said that he wants to stay in Miami.
Yeah. They all say that because taxes and weather, and they got homes and families and situations. But you know what? You don't work that hard to get to free agency to get to your second deal without signing for the biggest money, because that's the money that's going to provide you financial stability and security for the rest of your career. What you got going on over there?
I agree. What are you talking about? Are you hearing noise?
No. You're like looking around like somebody's trying to rob you or something.
No. Well, I'm looking Sarah was coming over and very nicely offering me some strawberries. And then I got a text. I want to make sure it's not some breaking news. And in fact, hold on. What? No,
it's usually just people in my phone telling me what they think about Tua.
Oh, you get that too?
Yeah, I get that. I get that a lot.
I get that as well. And then Chris Greer's talking about that was a popular phrase today, that he's earned the right to be a free agent.
Absolutely.
That's what happens if you play 4 years. If you play 4 years and your contract runs out, then you became a free agent. I don't know if you earned the right, but you played your 4 years. And the Dolphins have 25 free agents. Going to be a lot of decisions to make, tough ones. Don't know that we got. Who else did we talk to today? Armstead X we addressed.
We addressed Rob Hunt. Javon Holland, who basically pretended like he didn't know he was finally eligible for free agency.
He played that very well, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, what? Really? I can now get a new deal. I have no idea how you play that, but if I'm Xavien Howard, I'm not showing up for camp unless you touch my money because I'm making $1.8 million. And what people don't know is second round picks, they don't get playing time escalators. So they don't get like Kader Kohu could probably in playing time escalators. Kader Kohu might end up making more than Xavien Howard next year. And that should be determined later when they factor in the playing time escalators. But Xavien Howard is a super cheap player. And especially coming off these knee injuries, he's probably going to want his money more now than later. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and how the Dolphins handle the situation because these knees are a little bit concerning, aren't they? What's
sure. But it also comes out to exactly how highly the Dolphins think of him. Because, and again, let's be honest, when the Dolphins talk to us in the media, everybody's an all-pro. Everybody's doing great. So exactly how they think, other than Vic, outside of Vic.
Oh, and he loves Xavien Howard. So
that's a good point.
Vic loves Xavien Howard. Vic loves Jalen Ramsey, and Vic loves Christian Wilkins. Just about everybody else, he can,
Right, can take him or leave. I think he likes Gink. He likes Gink.
Oh, he likes Gink. My bad. I apologize for disrespecting Gink on that. But everybody else is like, whatever. Another question that was asked of Mike McDaniel, do you expect Vic to be back? And, hey, we haven't made any decisions. I haven't talked to my coaches. And he said, in fact, I haven't really even thought about it in terms of what to do with some of his coaches. Vic is obviously not being fired. But from what I understand, Vic could walk away at any point. For anything, for any reason.
He's old. Because he's old. Is that what you're going to say? Go ahead, say it.
Because he's old and he's stubborn. And he wears a Montreal Expos hat. Listen, if Vic just decides, I don't like it, I don't want to be here, I'm ready to move on, nobody's going to stop him. And nobody's saying that that's what he's going to do. And that's pretty much why everybody, I don't know how to say this word, without it being explicit, P-foots around Vic Fangio. Because
correct.
Vic just pick up his stuff and go home and say, I ain't coming back.
And it's happened before with Chan Gailey, who was here for 1 year, and that was it.
That is correct. And that was the product of abuse, though. But yeah.
Speaking of coaches or that he wasn't going to work with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No, he just didn't want to work. He didn't want to. It wasn't worth his time or effort or money. I mean, there was a long list of people who Brian Flores abused.
Correct, but I think the Ryan Fitzpatrick factor is not to be completely poo-pooed. Speaking of assistant coaches, we should mention the report out there that the New York Giants have requested permission. Are going to interview Anthony Campanelli, Hard Knocks star.
He was in the episode. He wasn't a Hard Knocks star, but he did provide.
He had there's one more episode left in the Hard Knocks. Tuesday night, the wrap up, the postmortem, and the last chance for anybody to beat that quote. All over the world, they speak ass whooping. I'm sorry. That's an all-timer. And Anthony Campanelli, rising star. I mentioned this before. When you see lists compiled by the national media outlets of young head coaches who will become head coaches or could become head coaches in the future, that dude is always mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also from that area. So
yes, he's definitely from that area. So he knows the Northeast. He knows the style of football that Brian Daboll wants to play. Also, he comes from Brian Flores' coaching tree, and Flores and Brian Daboll are friends and contemporaries. So I'm glad Anthony Campanelli is going to get that interview. Frank Smith is also going to be interviewing with the Carolina Panthers. Hope maybe other teams. It'll be interesting to see what comes from that. But obviously, we're still doing the autopsy on this season. We're still unraveling what is to come. I heard, I didn't hear it myself, but I heard Raheem Mostert basically was like, yeah, I'm under contract, but maybe we might need to revisit that situation. And I was just like, ooh, Okay. And
that's not what the Dolphins need, because they don't need to be adding more money to their salary cap. They need to be going.
if I'm Raheem Mostert, I'm coming off a career year, and I got paid less than the number 3 running back on my team. We kind of got to revisit the situation. Do we not? And maybe if you extend him 1 year, you can buy yourself some cap space by giving him his whole contract guaranteed. And
it was very low to begin with, was it not?
Yeah, I think he's in. Who are you talking about? Raheem?
Raheem.
Yeah, he's low already, but you can extend his contract and give him, because I mean, what running back wants to play on a I'm in last year my deal. He's slated to make $2.455 million. That includes his workout bonus and has per game roster bonus of $290,000. I'm sorry. You can add another year to Raheem's contract and give him his whole 2024 salary guaranteed and get yourself some cap space. So I can understand where he's coming from. Actually extending him might actually benefit you as a team financially. Now, the question is whether or not he wants a significant bump. Then, we'll see. But running backs always want some financial security, especially considering he's coming off a knee injury.
And he's 31.
And he's 31, probably going to turn 32 next year. So, but he's a foundational piece of what this Dolphins team is building. And I don't think you're in a position right now, 41 million over the cap. And all these futures contracts, they're going to add to that cap, that dead cap money, by the way. You know that, right? You do know that, right?
What?
Yeah. All these, because they've only got 37 players under contract. Every single one of these contracts puts you even more over the cap.
Yeah, but they have the 53 rule, the top 53 rule. Which
top 53 rule, but there's 37 under the cap. You do realize that. So you're going to get even further over the cap. 37. They're 41 over the cap with 37 players under contract. There are only 37 players under contract.
Omar, but here's the thing: why your point, with all due respect, doesn't make any sense, because you have to have players anyway.
Yeah.
And all of those guys are minimum contract players. So
they all count against the cap is what I'm saying now.
Because you're not up to 53. Once you get up over 53, they won't count against the cap because they'll be the top 53, and those guys, chances are, will not be in the top 53.
They won't count. That's true, but for now they do count. So when you see by the end of the week when the cap is been reconfigured and the Dolphins are now not 41 million over the cap, but 49 million over the cap. Now you understand why.
I know, but it's not when they need
cancels out.
To make a difference.
It does make a difference. It's more you got to cut. It does. It right now.
It's not, but okay. I mean,
right now to be under where you need to be to get to the league first year, the league year to be under, it does require.
But you're going to have more than 53 players. That's the point you're not getting from me. You're going to have more than 53 players on the roster.
Yes, eventually, but you have to cut.
I understand.
Before you start to add.
But it's not those guys who are going to make a difference whatsoever. That's the point I'm trying to make.
The point I'm trying to make is it's going to require you to cut more than. Yes, it is.
Okay, can we move on? Because
we're not communicating.
We're not communicating here. We're not.
You're speaking Canadian. I'm speaking American. I got you. You're I'm speaking
NFL and you're speaking USFL or XFL or whatever the hell you.
I know you think it's in the and I thought it was the first 51 that count, but anyway, that's besides the point.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, postmortem.
Let me address something, because this is something I get a lot from fans complaining about the strength and conditioning staff because of all the injuries. And Chris Greer not only said they're doing an okay job, basically called them the best staff in the league, said he's getting that feedback from agents all the time that they're top notch. So,
not only that, I think they took an NFLPA poll and I believe they ranked relatively high. The strength.
They did that last year. You're absolutely right. They did a full scope of every part of the operation. I'd have to look at the results there.
I mean, but obviously, I will acknowledge this. today in the final day of players in the locker room, and they're packing their stuff and they're boxing things up and they're shipping things out and they're getting our memorabilia signed and exchanging jerseys. I think that there are probably about a dozen players on little scooters, on crutches, with knee braces, including Malik Reed, who got hurt on the very first drive of the play and continued to play through it. That was, I can't remember a year where I've seen more players injured at the end of a season.
Completely agree with you. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I notice the same thing. That's the thing where I'm like walking around the locker room and it's like,
yeah,
crutch, walking boot, knee brace, crutch, walking boot. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Don't forget the scooters. Don't forget the scooters. We can't walk, but we can scoot around the place. Scooters, which are really cool.
And if I sent you that.
Xavien Howard was in a scooter.
Here you go. Yep. Saw Jalen. We went to talk to him, see how he's doing and all that. And
he said he had the flu. Yeah.
He said he was sick, very politely as always.
Yeah. He would. I think he would have talked if he didn't have like the.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. He's never been one to be like, yeah, well, not today. Unlike some other players.
But he wasn't scootering. He was walking.
Oh no, but he had a walking boot.
Yeah.
No, and as I was saying, Jalen's not the kind of guy who would ever go like, no, not today or whatever. Unlike some other players, we shall remain nameless.
You don't got to remain nameless. You say the names. This is All Dolphins podcast.
It's another Jalen who didn't want to talk today. Who was approaching?
Who?
Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, he was, man, please. No, yeah. Child, please. Everybody knows Jalen. Jalen ain't got to talk. He ain't talking. And, it is what it is.
No, correct.
And I, as I said to him, you don't want to talk, you ain't got to talk. We're good. I
don't think there's any, I believe, league requirement for players to talk on.
Absolutely. He checked with Am to make sure that he didn't have to talk. And when he didn't have to talk, he was outie. 5,000. Yeah. I am perfectly fine. If you don't have any interest in talking, you don't have to.
I'd rather he do that than be like short and short.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care. It's listen, I've been here 15 years. You've been here twice as long as I have been. These players, they come and they go. And this is just another season that has come and gone. And we're right where we are, 23 years without a playoff win. I did find it interesting. And this is, we'll end on this. This rebuild began in 2008 and 19 when they decided to purge their roster, trade away good players for draft picks, and build what you see here. It has not led to, it's led to 4 straight winning seasons, but it has not led to any playoff wins. And according to Chris Greer, we're running it back. Running it back one more time, one more again. And I don't necessarily have a fundamental objection to that. But based on what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing, the math I'm doing, more than likely, unless you can put a rabbit out of your hat, you're going to be putting together an inferior team for 2024 than what you had this year. And an inferior team to one that won 11 games and got smoked in the final month of the season. I don't know how I feel about that. But then again, are you in a position to rebuild it?
Or throughout the year against good teams?
Yeah. Or are you in a position to rebuild it? And I don't know what the answer is. But we will definitely find it out this offseason.
And I was going to say that's a good topic for another day as well.
Yes.
Omar, let's talk. We're going to do this on there. We probably should do this behind the scenes, but we're transparent. So
what are we talking about?
Are we doing a Hard Knocks live recap tomorrow?
Why not? We got nothing else to do.
There you go. And then
we'll be here and we can answer fans' questions about the end of the season. Why not?
Excellent.
All right.
I like it.
All righty. Fine, folks. I definitely appreciate you. I will actually be hosting the Joe Rose Show tomorrow morning. And looking forward to diving into the autopsy even further. Hopefully we'll go into the guts of the season. I am definitely going to be watching that all 22 to see if Mike McDaniel wasn't a liar about this quarter's defense
or protecting his quarterback.
Damn, you got to really.
Yeah, I don't go with the lying part. I think partly protecting his quarterback. I think.
All righty then. We shall see. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. You know how to find us, alldolphins.com. It is free. Anytime you click on it, you support both of us. So definitely, and you know how to find the podcast, All Dolphins Podcast, on any place you find the audio platform. We prefer you watch it on YouTube because they pay us the most. And we really like it when you let the ads run. So anytime you do, we say thank you because that's how we make money.
There you go.
On that note, we will see you tomorrow.